So I know you guys have been seeing a lot of the same knives in everybody's video because it's the end of the year, so everybody's doing their best of 2023, and I do have some more of those videos coming as well. But because everybody's kind of showing the same knives right now, because you know a lot of the best of the best is going to be repeated in a lot of people's videos, because you know great knives are great knives. Even though there will be some differences between some videos, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a change of pace with a few videos while everybody else is posting those videos. I figured I'd show some stuff that people aren't talking about, like the Kaiser MEGATHERIUM. Now this is a Elijah Isham design. Rest in peace to him. Now this knife design has always spoke to me. I've always just loved it. You know, you can really see the ergonomics with it, and this blade shape is extremely useful. Listen to the sound. Great sound. Then it has a phenomenal reverse flick. Now the thing is, you don't want to hold up high because you will, you know, get caught right there. And it's not the best thumb flicker. This does get in the way, but for the reverse flick, it is absolutely amazing. The ergonomics are really good. The pinch grips are amazing. We have a titanium frame lock with a titanium mill pocket clip, and then the blade steel is S35VN with a very slicey flat grind. You know, it's unique, it looks different, even the flipping action is really good. Fantastic light switching action. You can kind of do a happy medium between a light switch and a push button because of the way it's angled, but the access to the lock bar is really good. The drop is just an absolute guillotine. And you know, it's really cool. It is. Now here's the thing with this. You can get this right now for 120 bucks. However, I actually got it from Monthly Knife Club, from their Onyx collector's plan, because here's the thing. Right now all these companies have sales going on. That's why you can actually buy it for that price. But if you were part of the Monthly Knife Club, you would have gotten it for the same price, so about 50% off if you were part of the plan. Now, like I said, the price that they have it on for right now on the site is going to go back up. So this is something that would have been going on, you know, indefinite, while their price is going to go back up. It just happens to be around the holidays, so, you know, they have a sale going on. Now, if you don't know about Monthly Knife Club, it is a monthly subscription where you can get knives sent to your house monthly. You don't know what they're going to be, which is kind of the cool thing, but there always is a sale. There's always a deal, so you're always getting more for your money. But this was an absolute banger box, in my opinion. When I opened it up, I was like, oh, yes! Because I've always wanted one of these in the collection, and you know, I've had them in on the channel, I've tried them, my buddies have had them, but I never had one actually in the collection. So this is there was definitely a great surprise when I seen it. Like I said, I freaking dig it. Now that was the Onyx plan, but what about tier 2 and the standard one? So for tier 2, we have the Beyond EDC Geo front flipper, which has a gigantic front flipping action, and it has a VG10 blade steel on this Wharncliffe with a straight edge. This is going to be an insane utility cutter. That's what this thing's going to be just shining at, is utility cuts, precision work, opening things up. But because it's a Wharncliffe, you can get extended cuts because the edge is straight, so there's no slip off point. So you'll be able to get cutting power all the way out to that tip. Great reverse flicking action. The thumb flick, you know, it's a little tough because you'll hit yourself with the front flipper, so the reverse flick is quite a bit better. Front flipper works great. You do have to kind of, you know, keep your fingers out of the way because it is very big, which is also what makes it work so well. It is very fidgety, and you know, because you have so much control over a front flipper that big, you can easily slow roll it. Very smooth on the drop. But when you disengage it, you know, you got to keep your fingers out of the way so you can let it close, which isn't not a problem. You get used to it really quick. Then we have this G10. Beautiful G10 that is slightly contoured, good quality G10. Reversible deep carry clip. We have a G10 backspacer, and then steel liner lock. Good access to the liner. Yeah, really cool. And this one goes for, you would have gotten it for $55, and the total value would have been $64 to $70. Now the next one is the Kaiser the KIZER Swags, the Swayback. The Swaggs Swayback. This was the first button lock I ever got from KIZER, and it was the first time I really felt a great detent on a button lock. And it's still, man, super duper snappy. Like, holy cow, snappy. They did such a good job on that. And then we have another Wharncliffe blade, N690 steel. Beautiful swedge on the top. This is going to be, another great utility cutter. Now, the handle is a swayback handle, which I do find, can work really good for precision work, because this sway part kind of nestles right in your palm when you want to, get lots of control over that blade, especially the tip. Not a deep carry clip, but it is reversible, but that's also going to work very well in the hand, so you're not going to feel it pushing you off of the handle, especially when it gets narrow like that. So I actually prefer the clip that's on there over a deep carry clip on this model. Stonewashed blade steel, and the button lock, very, very smooth. It has a nice sound too. Very snappy detent, man. Wow. But yeah, the KIZER Swayback, designed by Swaggs. This does come in a few different options. I'm not sure. It might be discontinued now. I'm not positive. But I know it did come with a version with thumb studs. This was always my favorite version, just because, like I said, the detent was so good and it just worked so good. But here's all the details right here. This would have costed you only 35 bones, 35 bucks, and the value would have been about 60 bucks. I think we paid like 65 when we bought ours, 65, 70 or something like that. So anyways, yeah, awesome value. And yeah, this was a pretty cool box from Monthly Knife Club. Now, speaking of KIZER, and I will link Monthly Knife Club down in the description, definitely check it out. They do have different subscriptions, so, you can, depending on your budget, you can pick a different tier. Now, KIZER, like we were just saying, does have some crazy sales going on. The KIZER October's going for like 120 bucks right now for 20 CV and this micro milled titanium that looks absolutely crazy in a good way. Phenomenal action. You have flipper and the reverse flick fuller or hole deployment. Great ergonomics, beautiful sheep's foot blade, nice and slicey. It does have a titanium deep carry spring pocket clip, and it's just a cool knife. Now, these do come in more budget-friendly options with Micarta and stuff. I'm not sure if they're discontinued or not, but anyways, for 20 CV and titanium, not too shabby for 120 bucks. Now, you can get these for like 60 bucks. I'm not sure if it's on the KIZER site or if it's on my Amazon link, but I will link everything down in the description. There might be a couple links under each model. This is, I think, going for like 30 bucks or something right now. I think it's the G10 one though, but the Micarta one might be too. I'm not positive. This one's just I think it's N690. Yeah, N690. I freaking love this thing. This is such, if you like thumb stud action, this thing has ridiculous thumb stud action. It's so snappy, so clicky. The detent is perfection. The access to the lock bar is great. You don't expect it to be as smooth as it is. I personally love the Micarta. Great knife. Now this one is 20 CV with a hollow grind with frag titanium scales on both sides, and then a titanium spring milled pocket clip. So it's basically a hybrid between a milled titanium pocket clip and a deep carry spring clip, which makes it work really, really well over frag pattern. Good access to the lock bar again, same thumb stud action. This one just has a little bit more premium materials. Still has the steel liners, but you're getting a lot for your money here. For 60 bucks, come on. Next is TRM knives. Now, there are some of these available on eKnives. They have the Neutrons, they have the Holy Nerds. Now, this one is the Atom, so this one is a little bit bigger, but the Neutrons are still a great size, full-size knife, and they have the Micarta ones. They have a bunch of different versions, so just check out the link down in the description. I'm not even 100% sure everything that's available, but I know there was some available when I was filming this. But I'm thinking about, or I've thought about getting some aftermarket scales or even some TRM scales, because TRM does sell scales. I can get the titanium, I think, for this, and then they have Micarta, but it is a bit pricey. I'm not sure about other companies making scales for them, but I freaking love this knife. It is so glassy smooth. When I first got to experience a TRM, that was the first thing that stood out to me. This was one of the smoothest washer action knives. It reminded me of Rockstead and Sebenzas at the same time, or Chris Reeve knives. And you know, it's not like a ball bearing action, so it's not going to be fall shut, but it has just this luxurious smoothness. But extremely slicey. Very slicey blade, nice thin handle. These things are very ergonomic. Like I said, very slicey, very useful, great heat treatments, good access to the titanium liner, deep carry titanium clip, and you have plenty of room underneath it. The Holy Nerd. Now, this is a knife, you know, it's weird because, you know, I watched a whole bunch of videos on it, and every single person was like, this thing is much smaller than you think. Like, be prepared. It's very, very small. Then I got it, and I'm like, holy cow, this is way smaller than I thought. It's like, well, why didn't you just listen to them? I'm very happy with it. I like it, you know. It's obviously not my style because it's too small for my hands. However, I have gotten it down pat for the reverse flick. It takes a little bit, you know, because it has to break in, but once you know, get the hang of it, it's pretty good. But at first, you're slow rolling it or two-hand opening it because it's just so tiny, you know, and I know the camera does not do how tiny of it, or it doesn't do it justice on how tiny it is. Beautiful titanium micro milled scales. Yeah, I'd love to get the titanium scales on this model right here. Deep carry titanium clip that's inset with flat screws, titanium liner lock, great lockup, 20 CV blade steel. I can get a full 4-finger grip, but you would never think that when you open it because it is, like I said, it's tiny. It really is. This is a pinch grip knife, 100%. I don't think I'd ever use it like this unless if I absolutely had to make a cut, like, you know, to break down cardboard or something really quickly. It's very slicey though, very slim. This is a knife you could totally fifth pocket carry. And yeah, anyways, E-Knives, man. I'm going to link them down in the description. I don't shout them out enough, and, you know, I should. I don't know why, but I just, you know, they're one of my affiliates, and I forget sometimes. But shout out to E-Knives. I'm going to start checking their site more often for you guys and start linking them. Next is the CIVIVI Crit. Now, this one, I think they discontinued, but that's what's cool because you can get it on sale right now. So, you know, I was looking around for knives that are basically on sale right now that you can get for an extremely, extremely good price because there's a lot of stuff, you know, that, you know, around this time of the year, it gets discontinued, and that doesn't mean there's not a lot in stock. It doesn't mean there's still not going to be a bunch for sale. There's knives that are discontinued that have been discontinued for over a year that are still available. But what happens is you get these times where the price just goes way, way down because they know they're not making anymore. Anyways, this is one example. So the price is really low, and it has two front flipping tools. You have a ruler, flathead, pry bar, whatever you want to use that for, a belt cutter, and then, you know, the hex bits, bottle opener. It is on a liner lock. As you can see, there's two different liners, and it flips really good. And then you have a beautiful little blade here in Nitro V steel. You have a beautiful drop point blade in Nitro V steel, nice sharpening tool and plunge grind, very snappy action. This is a great front flipper. Yeah, that's a good one. And it's nice and ergonomic. You can move the clip over to the other side if you want, you know, for lefties or whatever, or just depending on how you want to carry it, depending on what tool you want facing. But it's a little bit thick, but it literally feels just like a regular pocket knife in your pocket, except for, you know, you kind of got a multi-tool. But those things are going for a very, very affordable price. I'll link them down in the description. Next, the Keen NADDER. My goodness, I love this knife. They did discontinue this, but there's still plenty of them available, or there's some available. I don't know how many there is available. But I gotta say that this is a knife I would personally love to see even a premium version of. I think that this is a banger knife. The flipper tab is very comfortable, and the detent is just so perfect. I was like trying to fail it right there. Like if you just break the detent, it'll fly every time, but you can snap it open really hard. Great light switch. Then you have the thumb studs that work really well, and then you also have the fuller. They all work great. Now, what's so awesome about this knife is this blade. You look at it and you're like, well, yeah, it's a recurved tanto. But in many cases, a recurved tanto isn't necessarily the most useful blade shape. However, this one has a drop point. So this tip, you don't even use this tip. You use the primary tip for everything. So it's like using a drop point, and then you have this little bit of belly, like using a drop point that you can use on a flat surface. Then you have this slight bit of recurve with a hollow grind, because it is a dual grind, where you can actually trap materials a little bit for longer cuts. And then the handle, if you can just see it, man, look how ergonomic that handle looks. You can use in any direction very nicely. Great balance. You got a forward choil right there. Good access to the lock bar. Yeah, this is just a badass knife that, you know, they wound up discontinuing like they do a lot of their great knives. So, you know, it's not that they got discontinued because it wasn't great. Next is the Knock Knives TACRAY. Now this is a knife you can get for like 80 bucks. Titanium frame lock, VG10 steel, phenomenal reverse flicking action. Like, this thing is really good. Even for lefties, you know, you can do it because you have just so much leverage in that hole. Titanium milled pocket clip and back spacer. You can see the clip is a little bit small, but it does work, but it's in front of these instead of on top of it, which is good. I'd rather this be here than back here. So the access to the lock bar, that's my only problem with this knife, or one of my problems. I don't really have many problems. The only other thing is the sharp control and plunge grind, which I'm really not even mad at because of how tight you can get it to the edge. So when you're cutting, you always go into the edge, always. You never have to worry about getting choked up in a choil or anything. Like, it literally is like the repeat cuts are insane with this. And then it's kind of a kitchen utility knife at the same time. So it's a great EDC knife, but also it's something that you can kind of use in the kitchen because of the offset handle and blade. It actually does work really well for that. And, you know, it's got VG10 steel. It's kind of like a folding EDC chef knife combination in a way. But I don't like the lock bar access, even though, you know, it's easy to do. I would have cut it out if it was my design. And then as far as the choil goes, I'm not too mad at it. I'm just going to sharpen up the blade because, you know, like I said, you know, with those repeat cuts, it's really nice. Very good geometry, great blade shape for utility cuts and slicing, even to turn it around and cut straps. Everything is good with this. And I kind of like the look of it. You know, it's got a futuristic look, and the price is right. The price is right. So next I want to talk about Naf Sale. Now, Naf Sale has a whole bunch of cool stuff that recently dropped. They have some American Blade Works Model 1 titaniums. Listen to this. Brand new too. These aren't used. I love it. Love it. Anyways, freaking love this knife. This is like one of my favorite USA made knives, especially of 2023. Very good geometry on this MagnaCut blade. It's 63 to 64 HRC, titanium scales, titanium mill pocket clip, and you can get all of this for like 330 bucks or something like that, which is crazy when you think about it. Like, that is such a good price. There's one guy making them, so if you have any issues, you don't have to worry about dealing with a computer, dealing with, you know, a bunch of different people. It's one guy. One guy. Now, so they do have these for sale and tons of other stuff. They have Microtech MSIs, Microtech stitches, at least but while I'm filming this, and many more things. So I'll just link it all down in the description. You guys can check it out for yourself. Now, the TWOSUN, they don't have this particular one. However, they have one that's very similar to this, and I have tried this model. So this model, they remind me of each other. That's why I brought it up. Yes, the sharp neutral and plunge grind's better on this one. There are, you know, quite a few differences between this model and that model. I will link this one down in the description as well, and we'll talk about it. But the model that's on Naf Sale is a really good model. I have a video on it. I absolutely loved it. It was one that I think is just an amazing value. And on Naf Sale, you can get it used. So I don't know how bad, it says it, you know, it's good condition. So it's used, but you can get it for like 50 bucks. 50 bucks for 14C and titanium. What a screaming deal. Now this one right here, I can link for $100, but it is D2. Now I will say this kind of reminds me of a Peter Rossetti, like a budget Peter Rossetti, and it is done extremely well. This is one of those TWOSUNs that suck you in because one, this blade shape, the sheep's foot blade, super slicey, phenomenal geometry. You can get them nice and tight to that edge for repeat cuts. You can chop down on the surface, kind of like we were talking about with the TACRAY just a minute ago. Great utility cuts, good access to the lock bar, stupid smooth, great reverse flick, great thumb flick, all around. Badassery. Even a full backspacer. Look at that. This thing is built pretty damn solid. Steel lock bar insert. Titanium mill pocket clip works great. It is, oh, so I should say it is on this thing right here, but if I ever, and this goes for any knife that has this, where the cutout and the clip meet each other, when it's in your pocket, when you go to pull it out, go like this and just turn it this way a little bit and it'll slide right out. So that's kind of my little trick with those types of clips. Anyways, NAFSALE.com, definitely check it out. I'll link that TWOSUN, this TWOSUN down there as well, the TWOSUN TS376. I'll make sure I put it down there. Next, Urban EDC. Now, Urban EDC, they always have badass stuff on their site. Some things are a little pricey, but they do have a lot of great stuff, and some of the stuff is exclusive to them. Now, the F5.5, this is an absolute banger of a pocket knife. Just a great EDC knife all the way around. Now, I don't think you can get the Micarta ones anymore, but you can get G10 versions, and it's just ridiculously smooth, Reat built. The liner is a titanium liner, M390 steel. There might be other steel versions. I'm not sure about that. Titanium pocket clip, titanium backspacer. This is beautiful Micarta, but like I said, you know, they have the G10 ones. But this is a model nobody can ever go wrong with. I have two of them, and I love them both. Now, this is from MATSEY Designs, the STRIGA or something like that. Something like that. Yeah, the STRIGA. The MATSEY STRIGA. Now, other sites do have them as well, but I found that I think Urban was the most affordable I found. But anyways, these are really cool. They're small. They are little fifth pocket knives, you know, kind of like we were talking about with the Holy Nerd. Actually, the Holy Nerd is a little bit bigger. This is actually a bit better. I don't want to say better. Not better. It's easier to use. So it doesn't feel, which is weird. It's just that one's so thin and so small. This one, you know, it's kind of chunky and it has these awesome thumb studs that work so good. Whether you're thumb flicking or reverse flicking, sheep's foot blade, it's like a little utility cutter. Comes in many different options. Titanium mill pocket clip, decent access to the lock bar, even though they don't really cut it out. It's a little bit proud on one side. But man, very smooth on ceramic caged bearings, M390 steel, and you know, it's just a cool little knife that, like I said, is a fifth pocket knife. But Urban EDC has a ton of other stuff on their site. Everything will be linked down in the description for you guys, so you guys can check it out. I'll link some of the full sites as well as the products down there. Like I said, I try to, in many cases, link multiple links under each thing. So if you click on one and you see the thing's gone, or maybe you're looking at the price and it's not what I mentioned, check one of the other links underneath that product. Guys, I appreciate all the support this year. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I can't do this without you guys, and I truly am very grateful to have this channel and to have all the love and support from you guys and to have grown so much this year. I can't tell you guys how blessed I feel. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.